Hello trader, welcome back to another weekly forex forecast for the third week of April 2025. And we can see that as the market currently trending in most of the instrument after a long consolidation, this week we can expect also significant movement. As along with the trend, we can see from the fundamental perspective this week as well the market is pretty rich. We can see that quite a few important news coming on GBP, CAD, dollar, euro, and all of this instrument. We could see that the market is moving because of this important news. And in addition to that, also we will be looking to see how gold is doing this week, as this instrument currently in a very strong trend. So with that being said, let's look at this week's forecast, what kind of trading opportunity we can find. Now before I begin this weekly forex forecast, traders, make sure that you give a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't done yet. So without further delay, let's get started this week's weekly forex forecast. Okay data, so let's begin first of all with DXY. As with the DXY, we will be able to see most of the USD pairs such as euro dollar, British pound, US dollar, dollar CAD, and then we also will be looking at GBP dollar yen as well as XAU USD. So DXY, looking at bigger picture, looking at the monthly chart to see overall direction in this market. So looking at monthly DXY, we can see that back to back now 3 months DXY is in an increasing downtrending market structure. So what do I mean by increasing? If we closely look at it, we can see that every month there is bigger red candle formation, which is a sign that the market is in a very strong downtrend. And we see the price has broken that significant monthly support level. And as the market has broken below, we could see further downside here, as there is a massive fair value gap here. There is an order block here on the monthly, which we see that previous resistance, which is starting support here. And with that order block, as this market in a downtrend, any pullback to the upside will be an opportunity for us to sell. So this week, from the monthly perspective, we could see that initial pullback and then potential downtrend in this market. So looking at the weekly perspective to see how the market is evolving, we can see that from the weekly, this is also strong downtrend at the moment. We have seen quite a few weeks of wave, starting with the smaller wave turning to the bigger wave, and the market has just broken below this support level and candle closed below from the weekly perspective, which is a sign that the market may try to create another bearish candle. Now this is the previous weekly support here, which is turning resistance, and what I think that we might see that potential pullback, as this weekly price action is highly bearish. We can see a strong bearish candle with a wick on both sides. So this smaller wick is a possible pullback that might lead that price to continue to drop here for the long-term picture. Now dropping down to the daily chart here on the weekly on DXY. Now dropping down to the daily chart here on DXY, we can see there is a gap open, and from the daily, and with that gap open, the price potentially pushing back up here, grabbing the liquidity and possibly to drop again. And as you can see that from the daily on DXY, trend is also bearish. We can see from this structure the price has completely broken below, and potentially we could see the market to trend to the long-term direction here. So looking at the 4-hour perspective to see how the market is preparing here, we saw that there is a clean head and shoulder formation here on DXY, and from that head and shoulder the price has completely broken with a stronger momentum, followed by narrower green candle formation, narrower doji here on DXY. And with this narrow doji formation, expecting for a potential pullback here. Now if we closely look at those green candles, we can see the buyers are very weaker here, a smaller green candles with a bigger red candle formation. And with that being said, what we can expect here, a break of structure, especially from this trend line. We'll be waiting for the market to break from that structure, and once we see that potential break of structure, we'll be looking for selling opportunity in this market. So this could be the wave for the upcoming week on DXY. That being said, this market is still may remain bearish for the upcoming week after initial pullback or even straight gap open and possible drop possible in this market. So with that being said, let's look at how it may impact the euro dollar. Now euro dollar just mirror of DXY, as this week also a very good week for our euro. As you can see, at the end of the week there is a euro news coming, so that will have increased volatility on euro dollar as well. So looking at monthly to see that how the market is evolving, and we can see that from the monthly perspective, euro dollar now back to back third month's strong bullish price action here, and with that bull market on euro dollar from this resistance line, the price is broken above with a bigger candle and expecting initial pullback with the market open, and then for the price to continue to rise to create a new higher high. Now if we look at the weekly perspective here on euro USD, we can see that from the weekly there is a gap open, massive weekly bullish candle, which also closed above, passing this significant level of resistance here on euro USD. And with that pass of this resistance, as the candle closed above, expecting euro dollar for a pullback and then to continue to rise again to create a new higher high. Now dropping down to the daily here on euro USD, we can see that from the daily perspective, this is the daily bullish candle followed by another daily bull candle. Now the price action on the daily is quite significantly bullish. As we can see that last day of trading week, the candle closed with a long wick at the top, which is a healthy pullback of this move. And what I think that the market either open with a gap to retest this previous resistance here as a support, or even we could see that after initial pullback, the market to potentially to remain bullish in the major direction of the trend. Now 4 hour perspective here on euro dollar, we can see that this is there was a break of structure here as well, and with this move followed by narrow pullback, another move, and we can see the market in a sideways currently in a narrow range, expecting on euro dollar to break below to that liquidity zone and then to bounce back up. This could be the wave for the upcoming week on euro dollar. Now let's look at British pound US dollar to see what kind of trading opportunity we might have. Now looking at the monthly on GBPUSD, now as like the euro dollar and British pound US dollar as well, significantly bullish, and this is the third month that we can see the market in a bull trend. And this month so far, in the first half of the month, we can see that after this pullback, the price is showing that bullish momentum here, and that might ultimately take this price back to this long-term resistance line. Therefore any pullback could be an opportunity to go long on GBPUSD, where this is the previous monthly resistance turning support here. And from the weekly, what we can see that on GBPUSD, there is a sign that the market potentially preparing for a bigger trend here. If we look at this structure here formation, what we can see that quite a few narrow smaller candles from the weekly, followed by an initial bounce, a complete rejection previous week with a doji, and the price has crossed that low and tested this swing high here as a support. And from this zone, from the weekly, we can see the market managed to break with a bigger bullish engulfer, and that's the GBPUSD price action, where you could see the market trending to the upside to create a new higher high. This is the weekly price action where you will be waiting for a pullback and then to remain bullish for long-term picture in this market. Now looking at the daily chart here on GBPUSD, we can see that from the daily, there was a daily breakup structure with a gap open and to that swing low, which is the swing high, which is the previous resistance turning support here. And from that zone, we see the GBPUSD back-to-back 4 days increasingly bullish trend, and in that area expecting GBPUSD come down for a pullback and then to potentially to remain in the major direction of the trend. Now looking at the 4 hour chart here on British pound US dollar, we will be waiting for this market to potentially break from this structure, and I think that this is where we could see, as there will be new weekly opening for the price to potentially grab liquidity after retest, and that's where you will be looking for entry opportunity on GBPUSD, and that could be the wave for the upcoming week on GBPUSD after initial pullback for the market to remain bullish. Now let's see dollar CAD, what kind of trading opportunity we have in this market. Looking at the monthly chart, as we see that with the increasing bearish momentum on DXY, dollar CAD as well could remain bearish here. Now you can see with this bearish engulfer followed by narrow doji, followed by a big bear candle on dollar CAD from the monthly, giving a high probability for this price to potentially continue to drop to that support level. Now from the weekly perspective here on dollar CAD, we can see that there's a weekly bear candle, and with that weekly bear candle, this is an important support here, turning resistance from the weekly, and expecting dollar CAD potentially to retest here to this support, which is turning resistance, and then for the market to potentially trend in that direction. Now looking at the daily chart here, we can see that back-to-back 3 days strong bear move on dollar CAD. And with that bearish move, as this market is trending here, we can see this support turning resistance here. And with that being said, expecting initial pullback and then the market to trend again to create a new lower low. Now looking at the 4-hour chart here, we can see that this market is in a downtrend here, and we can see that there is a strong downtrending market structure on dollar CAD. We'll be waiting for an initial pullback to the upside and then to trend again to the downside to create a new lower low. This could be the wave for the upcoming week on dollar CAD. Let's see what kind of opportunity you might have. As you can see, dollar CAD, quite a few high impact news on dollar CAD as well could give significant bearish trend in this market. Now let's look at XAU USD. Let's see what kind of trading opportunity we have in this market. Now looking at the monthly chart on XAUUSD, we can see that from the monthly, this is a strongly bull market at the moment. And if we look at the historical perspective on XAUUSD, we can see that there is an inverted head and shoulder and a strong breakout with that inverted head and shoulder, followed by this pullback. And we can see another pullback, deeper pullback here, and followed by, we can see that back-to-back 4 months from XAUUSD showing significant bullish momentum here. And what we can see from this support level, there is a strong breakout on the monthly on XAUUSD and could remain as it is, having a very strong bounce. So you could see that the price after also initial pullback to remain bullish. Now looking at the weekly chart to see that how the price action has formed. Now we can see that after previous weekly bearish candle here, the market has crossed that low and then grabbed the liquidity and immediately has got a rejection to the upside with this weekly bullish engulfer. And with that weekly bullish engulfer, as this market is moving back to the upside with a stronger momentum, expecting for this market to potentially to retest and then to remain bullish in the major direction of the trend, as this weekly price action is quite significantly bullish. We saw that it crossed quite a few weeks low and then revert back with a stronger momentum here. Now if we look at the daily chart on XAUUSD, we can see that from the daily back-to-back 3 days bull move, and with a daily bullish engulfer, another daily candle, and also another daily price action, back-to-back 3 days bullish momentum, and that is a sign that this market may potentially trend to the upside further. As we have seen, there was a breakup structure here in that area, and that breakup structure has given momentum in this market, as it has gained that liquidity from here and then has crawled back to the upside to create a new higher high. Now looking at the 4-hour chart on XAUUSD, which is also we can see that very strong trend here. The price has separated from 10 and 20 EMA quite a while and is still maintaining that bullish market structure. If we look at the 1 hour as well, we can see the price respecting this 10 EMA and also respecting the 20 EMA has not been touched yet. And what I think that with the market open, as this is an important resistance line here from the weekly. This could be a very important zone that we might see a potential break of structure, and that's the level that I will be waiting for a potential break of structure. If we see the market open with a gap or initial break below from that structure, giving this price to that level, swing low, that could be a very good area for us for potential long-term bullish trading opportunity in this market. This is where I will be waiting for a break of a structure on XAUUSD. Once we see the market has broken from the structure, grab the liquidity, that's where we can look for bullish opportunity on XAUUSD. And in the meantime, traders, if you enjoyed this education and analysis, make sure you give a thumbs up. And also for more updated education as well as the analysis that I am posting every single day, you can join the free Telegram channel. You can find link below this video. So now let's look at GBP, JPY, yen pairs, how they might be doing. Looking at the monthly chart on GJ, we can see that from the monthly perspective, GBP, JPY this is the monthly price action so far, strongly bearish here. And in that bear market on GJ, we can see that from this resistance line, this is the monthly price action, from that resistance strongly broken below from the monthly, and we could see that GJ to remain bearish for long term, as we have seen the price has broken completely from that resistance line. Now if we look at the weekly perspective on GBP JPY, we can see that from the weekly, this is a resistance here, resistance here, resistance here, completely broken below with a gap open, and there is a doji formation, expecting GJ after retest to remain bearish in the direction for long-term picture in this market. Now if we look at the daily chart on GBP JPY, we can see that with this long wick candle, the price has completely broken below here, followed by this pullback to the upside. And that being said, this is a very important level of resistance here. And what I think that this week we might see initial attempt from the buyers to grab more liquidity and then to remain bearish in that market on GJ. Now looking at the 4-hour chart here, where we can see that there was a false breakout here and the market has managed to break below. Currently the market a little in a sideway, and I think that it requires deeper liquidity, as above this level is where there is a high liquidity. We might see GBP JPY breaking that high, grabbing that liquidity and then breaking below for long-term direction of the trend. Now let's look at dollar yen. Let's see what kind of trading opportunity we have in this market. Now looking at monthly on dollar yen, we can see that from the monthly perspective, there is a doji formation with a long wick at the bottom here on the monthly, and this monthly price action on dollar yen, and we can see that so far strongly bearish. The market has made its significant move towards the downside on dollar yen, expecting for a deeper pullback and then to drop again. If we look at the weekly perspective here, we can see the gap open, and with that gap open with a you can see this is a strongly bear market, and expecting for this price to potentially break below here and from the weekly and to come back here to create a new lower low, which you can see the price is in a downtrend here. Now if we look at the daily chart, we can see that from the daily perspective, dollar yen here, there was a gap open, and what we can see, this is a downtrend. After this consolidation, the market has broken below, and we can see there is a gap open, expecting pullback and then to drop again to the downside to create a new lower low. Now if we look at the 4-hour chart here, we can see that you can see like the GJ, dollar yen also had a strong false breakout, and the market reach that level where there is a liquidity, and we can see from that level the market completely has broken below here and maintaining that downtrending market structure, expecting dollar yen to potentially grab liquidity and then to trend in the major direction. This is where dollar yen can give us potential selling opportunity, and I think that the market may remain bearish in this week as well, as it is a very strongly falling market. Traders, I hope that you enjoyed this weekly Forex forecast. If you enjoy, make sure you give a thumbs up, and also stay connected by joining the Telegram channel. Link you can find in the description area. Thank you, and I'll see you very soon again in another analysis as well as education.